if you look at what is happening in the Southeast, predominantly Christians, most of those that are killed in the Southeast, including the late husband of our demised icon, Dora Akunyili, the way the man was shot dead and everything, will you come and ascribe that to religion? I'm talking about what IPOB is doing. You see brothers killing brothers. Okay, so the sit-at-home that is going on Mondays in the Southeast that has almost crippled the economy of the Southeast, is it targeted at Christians or Muslims? So Nigeria has complex security situations, and we should actually go out there and educate people so that they will know what to do. But when they just come out with a one-sided motion, it means they have a target, and that target is to strangulate the economy of Nigeria. That's my personal opinion. So I've gone into the executive session to discuss this, but I don't think we can win. No group can win any discussion on this, because it depends on the state you are looking at. If terrorism occurs in a Christianly dominated state, most people that will die there will be Christians. If it occurs in a Muslim-dominated state, most of those who will die there will be Muslims. But if it occurs particularly in the North Central, you will notice that it will be targeted at maybe churches, because that is what they are able to get. And then at the end they will say, oh, it's Muslims that kill Christians. If it happens in Kano or Borno, they will say Christians kill Muslims. So the way the whole situation is that we still need to go into executive session and get a date for our security summit, so we can have close discussion on these matters. What is happening in the United States is of concern to Nigeria. It's of concern to the Christians, it's of concern to the Muslims. Because the moment they bring sanctions will breed poverty. Poverty knows no religion. So for me, engagement will be the best. So when we go into executive session, we can decide to set up a small ad hoc committee to go to United States or America and engage our colleague parliamentarians there. And then to also educate them. Because if you see what these people are doing, most of them are outsiders. When they come and start spraying bullets from GP, or what do you call it, or they throw rocket, they are not throwing rocket into the crowd targeting a particular religion. They are killing Nigerians. I don't know who will now go and sit down and bring out maybe the dead bodies and say, this one is a Christian, this one is from this family, this must be a Muslim. So we are facing a situation whereby these terrorists are trying to terminate the lives of Nigerians, and then, of course, frustrate us from going into the farms, producing food to feed ourselves. So this discussion will be better in a closed session, and I think at the end of the day, we should actually have a small team that should visit our colleagues and also put the other side, because some people must have gone there to give a one-sided story. And at the end, it will now look as if only Christians are being killed by terrorists in Nigeria. But I can tell you that a lot of Muslims have lost their lives in the last 5-10 years. The same way Christians have also lost their lives. So my personal opinion is that Nigerians have lost their lives as a result of insurgencies, banditry, and others. So if you look at what is happening in the Southeast, predominantly Christians, most of those that are killed in the Southeast, including the late husband of our demised icon, Dora Kunyili, the way the man was shot dead and everything, will you come and ascribe that to religion? I'm talking about what IPOB is doing. You see brothers killing brothers. Okay, so they sit at home that is going on Mondays in the Southeast that has almost crippled the economy of the Southeast. Is it targeted at Christians or Muslims? So Nigeria has complex security situations, and we should actually go out there and educate people so that they will know what to do. But when they just come out with a one-sided motion, it means they have a target, and that target is to strangulate the economy of Nigeria. That's my personal opinion. So it's left to us as a parliament to take proactive actions and be strategic in our response. If we stay here to give figures and instances where Muslims were killed or where Christians were killed, then we are not helping the situation. Ours should be, what do we do to ensure what Senator Jim Ibrahim said, counter terrorism? How do we respond to the guerrilla tactics of the terrorists, whether internal or external aggressors? So let's go into the prayers. Is there anybody that is opposed to this motion? No, actually, I was about to look at your side because I think a lot of heavilists have also been killed in the. Is there anybody that is opposed to this motion? Okay, so leader of the Senate, approach the chair.
Just make a short comment. We need to engage knowledge at this time to understand the strategy of the terrorists. We must come to terms to understand the strategy of the terrorists and their praxis. And I think, Mr. Senate President, there might be need for us to have a closed session because it's a security matter. So distillment of fundamental information that are very secret cannot be said here openly. We need to understand the tactics and the praxis of the terrorists. And we must now engage the executive about counterterrorism because the argument is that most of the launch counterterrorism approach are not sufficient enough to actually engage the terrorists. The summary of my submission is that unless we can place in proper perspective the strategy of the terrorists, it will be difficult, Mr. Senate President, unless we engage knowledge and know the strategy of the terrorists. It will be difficult for us to actually suggest what counter-terrorism strategy that you engage to get this thing out of us. It's not a sympathy matter. The moment the United States Senate knows that we are doing this engagement, then obviously speaking, they cannot pass anything over there. The key thing, the summary of my submission is that we must engage knowledge, one, to understand the strategy of the terrorists. If we get that one documented and we know it very well, we must now know what counter-terrorism are we going to use before we go to distribution of information and political propagandas and all the rest. Life is priceless, Mr. Senate President. And I must thank you again for approving security summits in this Senate, being headed by Senator Okoyemi also. And I think this is very important. But before I take my seat, I must say clearly, it is not all the matters that we know of that we can discuss here. We must go into executive session to particularly to define and redefine our counterterrorism. I'm just back from the United Nations Counterterrorism Conference, and I was able to persuade the participants there from about 180 countries that our counterterrorism approach adopted by Mr. President in the state of Rivers State was the best to do because we cannot allow Nigeria, to be a battleground for intervention engagement arising from insufficient security from outsider. And they agree with me. But they were able to get the information that the executive counterterrorism was not lawless. And I challenge them. Mention one person that was killed in Rivers State within the 6 months of state of emergency. That means our counterterrorism works very well there. In this matter, on this motion, Mr. Senate President, there is need to engage knowledge. Let's revert back to executive session at appropriate time to discuss and evaluate terrorist strategy. Then we will be able to define counter-terrorism strategy that we will adopt to make, it's not a matter of Christian or Muslim or whatever. Once we do this, we have a better way to go. Thank you very much for this short snap. Thank you.
Well.